One reason C.S. Lewis wrote his Narnia books was that he shared the feeling a lot of people have, that the story of Jesus, the story of the Gospels, was so familiar people didn't notice any longer just how extraordinary it was. It was the same kind of reasoning that made Lewis's friend Dorothy Sayers write her great series of radio plays, The Man Born to be King, about the life of Jesus. She felt that people had simply forgotten what an extraordinary story it was. Well, Lewis goes one step further than Dorothy Sayers. He says, let's try and imagine the Christian story in a completely unfamiliar setting, in literally another world. Let's imagine Jesus not just as a figure from a stained glass window or a Sunday school print. Let's think of Jesus as a great wild animal governing this other world. Let's try and get back to what it really felt like to experience Christianity not just as good news, but as good news, something that nobody had ever thought of before. So part of the point of the Narnia books is helping us to be surprised once again by the gospel, by the good news, as if it truly were news, not just something that was vaguely familiar, or even something that was very deeply familiar. Because for all of us, however deeply we love the Lord, however deeply we feel involved in the practice of our faith, there's always that risk of it getting stale at one point or another. And that's perhaps why the Church, every year, makes us read through the story again, makes us go through the motions again, through the steps of the story. In case you'd forgotten, this is what happened when Jesus was born. In case you'd forgotten, this is what happened when Jesus died and rose from the dead. And Lewis helps us do this by saying, well, what if you'd never heard the story? What if this were as unfamiliar as it might have been to somebody listening to the story of Jesus in the 1st century in some little town in the Mediterranean? It's a very bold, very ambitious thing to try. Lewis, I think, succeeds remarkably just by that stratagem of taking us into another world, by showing us Jesus by another name, with another face. And of course, towards the end of the great series of stories, Aslan, the lion, the king of Narnia, says to the children that he's been slowly getting used to him, to his presence. When you get back to your own world, you'll see me there, you'll know me there, in another form. As if all of this wonderful, elaborate, imaginative story about another world is simply to get us back to where we started, to our own world, and open our eyes here, to the strangeness and the excitement of Jesus.